Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Luke Richardson, and I would like to share a little bit about my major, communications, and some of the major topics that we like to discuss in it. So, there is what you could call a war, if you want, between the experts of my field, communication, and how we should approach it. There are some who like to employ what is known as the humanistic method. There are others that like to do what's called the scientific method. There is a bit of decisiveness when it comes to which one of those theories we should approach. Should we approach one of them, none of them, all of them together, or a symbol, or a hybrid between the two? I'd like to talk with you about that today. So, of course, there are two major fields of communication study, and one of them is the humanistic side, and the other is the scientific perspective. And in today's speech, I will be explaining how these two differ, what they have in common, and what you should think about them. Let's start off from the scientific side. Put simply, the scientific approach is just a quantitative approach to communication, meaning that everything is explainable through reason, logic, and proof. Everything we do and say has some explanation, some theory, and some model that can be used to explain it. Why do we talk? I don't know. But it could always be explained with some sort of theory or model or anything like that. So normally this goes about by using focus groups and intensive interviews and other studies. Qualitative research is the name of the game when it comes to things like this. Now, the model for this approach tends to be relatively straightforward and objective. Mainly, before a theory is proposed amongst a group of communicators, it is first analyzed and discussed amongst the community, whether this is something that should be valid, seems reasonable, follows objective standards, typical stuff, rather similar to what science would be. And then secondly, after it's gone through that process, it is defined and agreed upon, where it is known as a model, not to be confused with the overall scientific model. More of a subset of model, if you will. Next, let's take a look at the more humanistic side of communication and what that entails. Now, unlike scientific communication, there is no real set definition when it comes to the humanistic side of this approach. But normally, if you wanted to put a loose definition to it, you could say that it's more loose and interpretive when it comes to understanding how we talk and communicate. And of course, there is no model as well. But typically things that tend to be associated with the humanistic side of communication tend to be relative things, constructivist, works on interaction, tends to be rather subjective. And the main thing it focuses on is the relationship between the knower and the known. Leading to that, there are two important concepts when it comes to learning about the humanistic approach that helps give a better understanding. While the scientific side tends to mostly focus on model, how can we make this, what will we do, how will we discuss it, and is this valid? Another way, normally what tends to be looked at from the humanistic side is symbolism and epistemology. Symbolism is, of course, something that is used as a symbol in communication. A perfect example of this is the Chinese language, which tends to be rather pictographic in nature, meaning that everything is a picture. All letters and words are simply just a big drawing, if you would like to put it that way. Perfect example, the word for China, Zhonghua, as they put it, is Middle Kingdom. That's what it means. And the picture of it depicts middle and a kingdom. And it's a drawing of it. It makes it rather easy to understand. That's typically how the humanistic side tends to look at things in the communication approach. That there are symbols and things that can be used to interpret. Now, the other side, epistemology, is the second part to understanding how communication works from the humanistic side. And it is the study of human knowledge. And therefore, it's very important to understanding the humanistic as human and humanistic epistemology, study of human thought, very important. So these are some of the questions that epistemology asks. And as a result, so does the humanistic side when it tends to come to discussing things. And that is, how do we know, and to what extent can we be certain, and by what processes does knowledge arise? Now, as you know, this tend to be a little bit more loose, but those are just two of the important things when it comes to understanding it. Finally, In conclusion, while there are large differences in the approaches to scientific and humanistic study of communication, both of them have validity and interaction in just about any situation. So neither of them are completely correct, but neither of them should be completely discounted, and both can be used quite well in any circumstance of communication. Now, I would like to challenge you, as you're going out talking, going about your day, look out for the humanistic side of communication. Look out for the scientific side. See what you can find and apply it to yourself. You might be surprised. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this speech, and I hope that you have a good day. Thank you.